don't have any shame. And, you know, I'll tell everybody, bro, my addiction with alcohol and cocaine was insane, bro. And I can't imagine passing that down to another black man, like another young black guy. If he follows in the same path that I did, was in college, I graduated college early and still somehow found myself to addiction, living in one of my mama's closets, you know, when it was all said and done. Graduated high school at 15 years old, and by the age of 31, bro, I'm evicted. I drank up my rent money. You know what I'm saying? So,
Hey, what's up, GP fam? It's your host, RJ, here for another episode. But tonight is with my co-host, one of my all-time favorite people now, Jameson Reaves. What's up, boy?
what's happening? Oh, man.
Man, well, let's get into it. Let's just jump right in like how we always start conversations.
Yeah.
We don't care about the weather. I care about whether or not you're going to be everything that the Lord has called you to be. So, man, if you would just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background of who you are, and then we'll start.
Man, okay, I'm Jameson. I'm a son, a brother. I'm an usher. I sing in the choir. I'm a boyfriend, hopefully soon a fiance, and
Okay.
and to be a husband. But I was, born and raised in Greensboro, North Carolina. I moved to Texas during the pandemic, where I found church. Is funny, man, because I was thinking about when I first moved out here. I was kind of starry-eyed. You know, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't expect to find God when I moved here.
Okay.
I was living my own life, doing my own thing, culinary background. Now I don't do any of that. But I'm just trying to be everything that God has called me to be in whatever space that he brings me into.
Okay. So about a year ago, we met, right?
Yeah.
We're in Connect Group.
Yeah.
Hopefully you remember the way that I remember it. Because sometimes I have a story that is different than most because my imagination and my memories, I'm older, right? But we're in Connect Group. Shout out to David and Blake.
Shout out to David. Yeah. Shout out Poppy.
Yes. But the conversation started where we're talking about, man, how do you approach a female at church? How do you approach a female at church? That's your safe place. That's her safe place. And then I started talking. And I started getting those looks of like, bro, can somebody like turn him down a little bit and not be so transparent? But then you chimed in and we kind of took over.
Yeah, it became a thing. It was a thing.
Right. And real recognized real. Mm-hmm. And we just, from that moment, honestly, I knew the Lord was like, man, I think this is going to be your co-host.
In fact, yeah, I think, yeah.
And I got a chance to talk to Blake and David this week. And the whole thing that we're about is heal the boy, get the man.
Yes, sir.
A lot of people don't know I healed in that Connect Group, right? And so, like, the man that I am now only happens because of that Connect Group.
Yeah, I'll say the same, man. I'm still on my healing journey, but that was definitely a point of emphasis in that journey and healing.
Yeah,
just especially finding a community of like-minded brothers that were trying to go in the same direction. And then, of course, meeting you, man, you know what I'm saying? We're two peas in the pod. Two very strong personalities.
Well, what did you call me? You're like, man, he's a hot boy. Because I have a tendency to say the things people are thinking, but they know how to filter. I don't know how to filter yet.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. You lacking in the tact. Tact spot. Yeah.
And it's gotten me in trouble sometimes, and it's also helped me in a lot of ways.
It's genuine though, you know what I'm saying? So, people look for, uniformity, something that you can feed to everybody, Yeah. I realized in that moment, man, RJ, you're not for everybody. And that's somewhat refreshing, It
is, right? As a healed man, but the insecure man, I couldn't take that all day long. Because as an insecure man, like I had to have everybody like me or nobody liked me. That was my mental, right? So I would do certain things, right? I would do certain things to make sure that everybody liked me, and that's even being a fraud, or even being fraud. Yeah, super fraudulent in all my emotions, everything, fake laughs, fake smiles, because I wanted everybody to like me because I wasn't secure enough for only a few to like me. So let's tap into something that happened to us over the holidays, right?
Good segue.
Very good segue.
Let's go.
But man, I want you to just be you. Our friendship is very organic.
Yeah.
And it's very, every time I talk on the phone with you, I leave fed, motivated,
Same, bro.
and encouraged. And so this holiday season, we got into some hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And but before we get into that, I wanted to kind of like, this is kind of like how we started our brotherhood. It wasn't no longer a friendship. It became a brotherhood. We were at a house, and somehow we start talking about mother wounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we start realizing that both of us have some scars and some wounds that aren't healed yet. And so I remember we're sitting right across from each other. And if you remember, you start talking about your mom. I start talking about my mom. And the Lord starts to begin to be like, oh, we're about to unravel this hurt. So if you can, just talk about that. And then I want to get into like the hurt that happened afterwards.
Yeah, man, it was actually interesting because it was like an unraveling of some emotions, an unraveling of some ideals that I had concerning my mom. And that in turn kind of shaped the way that I looked at women as a whole. We had that conversation that night, and it really made me realize the level of unforgiveness that I was really harboring, first and foremost towards my mother, and then towards women that look like her. You know, my mother did the best she could to raise me and keep me out of things. In turn, some of that, it came off overbearing. And it took me some time, her strength, I took it, I made it her weakness in a sense. She was trying to protect me, and I saw it as her trying to control me. So that in turn became, ain't no woman ever gonna control me in a relationship, in any relationship that I ever get in, I'm not gonna deal with that. That shaped my life for years. But then you got to talking about the things that you dealt with your mom. And respectfully, bro, I didn't have to deal with any of that with my mother, bro.
Yeah, man, I think with moms, us sons, we tend to play two different roles at the same time. We want to be the protector. We don't want anyone to mishandle mom. But then also we're trying to be the son at the same time. And so when you try to be son and protector, there's tons of conflict emotionally, right? So what mom does to protect, we use it against her, right? And so if we're going to tap into like the things that I did deal with is my mom was an alcoholic. And so at the age of 11, I didn't take driver's ed. I jumped in the car because I wanted to make sure that my sister Sophie was cool. So I couldn't reach the pedals. So Sophie had this big old pillow that I would sit on, and we laugh about it a little bit now, but that was our safe place to go home. And I would rather at 11 drive and learn those things because we knew what would happen. I told you about like from fights to everything. And, but just even like the mental win. Now as a 41-year-old man, I'm learning to give grace to my parents now because I didn't know how to give it to them then. I placed them on a pedestal and thought they had to be perfect. Yeah. And man, I'm battling that right now with my kids. But something I shared with you that I don't know how I'm going to share this right now, but I'm just going to share it. To this point is at a teenage age, I was introduced to a thought that a person could show me how to please a woman. And that person was a trusted voice in my life. And I'd never shared that with anybody until I shared it with you. And when I shared it, I think we were crying. But
I know I was, yeah.
But the tears that were coming from my heart were different because I didn't know how to say that because I know that's not right. And I never knew I had to forgive her until that night. Well, you said something very powerful is you said that I have to learn how to love my mom and grace my mom at the same time.
Really?
I told you I had my mom on mute that night. I told you she's silenced because I don't know the content of what she's going to send or the time that she's going to send it. She could send me a text at 7 in the morning, 12 in the afternoon, or 4 in the morning. And I don't know what she's going to say, and I don't know who's going to be around. So my protection is to silence mom. Yet I have friends that do the exact same thing. right? They'll send me Instagram posts, they'll send me pictures, they'll send me whatever. But I don't grace mom, but I'll grace other people. And so, man, let's tap in. Let's tap into that, because I didn't know that we were going to go into mother wounds.
Yeah.
But on the way over here, I talked to my good friend, and he says mother wounds don't exclude ex-girlfriend wounds. So sometimes, like what you said, you might have a mother wound, and it translates to how we treat women, translates to how we treat girlfriend's ex or whatever.
Oh, definitely.
But because you said because they look like mom or they sound like mom, we kind of push them away. Right.
And it was crazy. It was always with me, I had a very promiscuous background.
Okay.
In my younger adult life. And I wasn't always the best person to women that I was in relationships with.
Yeah.
I also realized that a lot of that came from what I experienced coming up from my mom. My mom and dad have been married for 38 years, and my mom was the main disciplinarian in my house. And sometimes it seems like that disciplinarian was also disciplining my dad at times too. Well, at least that's the way I perceived it as a child. I didn't know the level of care that my father may have needed from my mom, being the man that he was, I didn't know that what appeared to me overbearingness was her just meticulousness and making sure my father got to the best place. I can honestly say I don't have any F's on my report card, no felonies. I have been locked up, but it wasn't.
Why you gonna look at me?
So, Vin Weasel. We'll get it.
That F is not for Flores, right?
It's definitely not.
Yeah.
But
Vin Weasel is wild.
Yeah.
I caught that just now.
Yeah.
You're a jerk. Shout out to the Form B unit. Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, I looked at the things my mom did, and in an effort to say I'm never going to deal with that, I ended up breaking a lot of hearts. So the women that did look like mom, the women that kind of had themselves together, the women that had goals, the women that were unwavering in their stance about what they wanted, I did the best I could to break them down. We were if I was in a relationship with them, and for the life of me, man, I can't even begin to tell you like why. Even when I think about it today, I mean, I don't really have condemnation about it, but I can't think about why. I can't tell you why I couldn't be good to those women. It was like something inside of me prevented me from being the person that God had called me to be.
Bro, I dealt with the same thing. And for me, it was the insecure because I didn't have the validation. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know if my love language, I used to tell people, was physical touch. Truthfully, it's words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Because as a man, I need to feel validated.
Absolutely.
Worthy, right? And if a girl wasn't giving that to me, I would self-sabotage. But like, get on and get out of here. Yeah. Let me hurt you before you hurt me, right? So that's part of your story. Mm-hmm. But you told me a story that before coming to know God, you were wilding. And there's addictions and there's all these things. And something we've always told each other was a watered down testimony heals no one, right?
Absolutely.
And so your story is such a powerful story of how God just allows himself to overwhelm you with his presence, even when you're not ready for him. And so talk to me a little bit about how you came to church and you weren't 100% sober.
It was funny, man. My story, if you look at my life and like the inner workings of my story is one that shows you sometimes God will give you exactly what it is that you ask for, just to show you that ain't what you want. I thought, what I truly wanted was to have one foot established outside of the church and one foot established in the church, to be a jack of all trades, if you will, but a master of none, and what the word says about a double-minded man. I saw a movie here recently that says, you flirt with the devil long enough, eventually he'll follow you home. And that's kind of what happened. That's kind of what happened with me, bro. Yeah.
I saw one today. Check this out. Ate for lunch. It says the things that we flirt with today, our kids will marry tomorrow.
You imagine that, bro? Like,
I'm living it.
like if my, like I don't have any shame, and you know, I'll tell everybody, bro. My addiction with alcohol and cocaine was insane, bro. And I can't imagine passing that down to another black man, like another young black guy. If he follows in the same path that I did, was in college, I graduated college early and still somehow found myself to addiction, living in one of my mama's closets, you know, when it was all said and done. Graduated high school at 15 years old, and by the age of 31, bro, I'm evicted. I drank up my rent money. You know what I'm saying? So I can't imagine putting that on my seed, bro. My daughter, my son. You know what I'm saying? I don't have children, but I did indeed flirt with these things. You know? And I think about, my Noah, my Germ, my Selah. You know what's in store for them because of the things that I've dabbled in and may have dealt with, and the things that I don't even know that I need to deal with that I haven't dealt with.
All right, Holy Spirit. Okay, so here we go. Man, you saying that is, I'm way over here. The voicemail I left you today said, I said, Jay, man, this week has been hell.
Absolutely, bro.
And it has been hell, bro. And I'm talking, the Lord is trying to hold me in the areas that the enemy knows where to stab me, right? And so on the way over here, I was just be honest, I'm crying, and I'm talking to the Lord and just like, God, I don't even want to be at this pod tonight. I don't, because I'm hurting because my kids aren't talking to me right now. And I hear the voice of the Lord say, you can't be offended by somebody you faithfully pray for. And I said, oh, okay, we're going to go there. And then my pops calls me.
Oh,
right. And so,
love that guy, by the way.
Thank you. I do too. And I love him now even more than I loved him as a teenager. Because as a teenager, I didn't know his wisdom. I didn't know how much he loved me. I just knew at that young age, I thought I knew everything.
Yeah.
And so now as my dad is seasoned, right? Seasoned. Yeah. He just called me and he was like, Mijo, like, you got to allow yourself to be so transparent that the kids know that you're sorry, because we don't always get it right. And even when we think we're right, we can be wrong, right? And so when the Lord said to me today on the way over there, you can't be offended by someone you faithfully pray for. Bro, when I wake up, it's my kids that I'm covering. When I go to bed, it's my kids that I'm covering, right? I'm daily thinking of ways to creatively pray for my kids. Right. So if I'm faithfully praying for them, how am I offended by something that they're just feeling, right? It would be like me telling God, like, God, you can only love me when I'm acting right, right? And so, and Lord knows that.
We really believe that too, yeah.
Bro, it is because like I sometimes we think as Christians, we have to come to the throne perfect, or he doesn't really listen to us. Mm-hmm. Judah Smith says this: it is impossible for God to love you more than he loves you right now. Right? What that means is there's nothing you can do or not do for God to love you more than he loves you right now. Mm-hmm. Right? And so that's part of the week. And then you are my Connect group host, right? Mm-hmm. And last week we wrote something on this card, and I did not know that I would be living it right now. And I wrote it down, and you looked at it and you're like, oh, shoot. Yeah. Right? And what I wrote down was the area in which your anxiety rages the highest is the same area that you trust the Lord the least.
Exactly.
Right? And it's that, man. I'm just like, I've never dealt with anxiety. I really never dealt with it. But now I'm dealing with it because I'm learning that I'm exposing myself that I don't trust the Lord in this area of my life. So if we could, what area in your life do you not trust the Lord the most in?
What area in my life?
I'm thinking of something right now because you asked us to pray for it.
Yeah, so I'll say, yeah. It's a weird space because we had that conversation that night, with the entire group. And shout out to the Hilda Boy Connect group, because a lot of those brothers really helped me through some thought processes that night. But I trust God the least, I'll say, in my ability, or what he's bestowed upon me as my ability to be a husband, to be a good partner. A lot of what I deal with is comparison. I think about the years that I squandered, and how that kind of, in a sense, put me behind the gun. I think about, where I'm at financially, which, I thank God for where I'm at, financially, but I could be so much further along, had I not found, what I found, and I not found drugs, and alcohol. And yeah, I will admit sometimes, man, I think about this beautiful woman that God has given me.
Yeah.
This great individual who is in part responsible for where I'm at today.
Absolutely.
And I think about the fact that I'm not 100% sure if I'm fully equipped to take care of her. Lord knows I want to. I have the heart to, but do I have the tools? Do I have everything that I need? Society is changing, and they tell you need to do this and you got to take care of this. And, as a man, I've experienced the fact that I don't necessarily have intrinsic value in the same way, that a woman does. And people probably hear that and it sounds like sensational language, but it's a reality that we live as men, especially men of God. Like,
even outside of that, right? Like, I think we have a tendency, you work at a boxing gym as well, right? Mm-hmm. And so as men, we tend to size up every single dude that walks in. Oh, bro, I got you right there.
Yeah.
You're short, you're fat, you're whatever. Oh, I got you in the finance department, whatever. Like, yeah. We tend to size people up. And so I want to see, like, where's your mental? Like, what are the thoughts that are questioning your mind and who Jameson is when it comes to, hey, am I good enough to marry this woman who is great, who is valuable, who I believe the Lord has placed in my life? What's your mental? What are those questions that are running through your
questions mind? I ask, a lot of the times in prayer, what I'm asking, I was like, God, and it's my desire, first and foremost, to lead with your heart and not my flesh. But God, I don't love people in the same way that Tierra loves people. If I can be 100% honest, I don't love her family in the way that maybe I should, You're
reminding me about what happened this Sunday.
Yeah. What happened? I got to take a pause. What happened? Oh, yeah. Yo, bro. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'll kind of get into.
No, I want to because it's a love part, and I understand.
Yeah, we'll talk okay, and we'll talk about that since you mentioned it. Prime example.
Well, you're not loving people like you said, like Tierra does, right? But
yeah, exactly.
Doesn't mean you don't love people, but
no, I love you.
People push,
I love the
people
push
your buttons.
Yeah, but I'm not a respecter of persons, and I'm gonna be honest with you, man. People get on my nerves, bro, and like I'm not afraid really, like to tell you, and like sometimes it comes off. It can come off a particular way. Sunday I had a situation. I'm just doing my job. One of the heads of the church asked me to watch the door to make sure people don't come in the way that they went out. You have to send people out a particular way. And a gentleman told me he got in my face and told me he was going the particular way, and that way would have been through me. So I genuinely asked him, how you gonna do that? How you gonna do that if I'm right here, bro? And like it became a thing, so much so to the point where I realize now that I kind of got lost in the moment. And granted, nothing came of it. Nothing. Of course not.
It was so funny because after that happened, I guess I'm walking out. He's like, dude, one of your dudes.
Yeah, come get your people, RJ.
but man, go back to the loving part, right? Like, kind of how we first started. We truly believed a couple of months ago that we were going to enter a season where we would have to outlove people. That the love that we gave.
We did enter the season.
Yeah, the friendship that we gave was not so much reciprocated back to us.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Man, we had some calls.
Yeah.
Some real calls, right? Mm-hmm. Like some true calls like, bro, Jameson, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
But when stuff happened where people were like backbiting, right? And we'll just be honest, like inside the church, backbiting because they felt like the Lord was maybe fast tracking, maybe you and I, at a pace that they had been waiting for. Right, they've been waiting for the Lord to touch their life, to bless their life, and then we get fast tracked, and so now it's like, oh, let's start backbiting, right? And I remember when I finally got the courage just to send that text to the group, and was like, man, I'm out.
Yeah,
you called me
immediately.
Like
the moment I read, as soon as I got done reading it, I called you.
I want to go into that because we were in a season. The Lord had begun to speak to me that we were going to have to outlove people. You helped me navigate a time in my life where people did not appreciate what the Lord was possibly doing in my life, and you stood by me. And instead of just texting me, you called me in the morning, and you're like,
Immediately, yeah.
bro, are you good? I know you're not good.
Yeah, but I said,
because I'm not good.
I saw the message and knew it had nothing to do with me, so I needed to understand fully, you know, what we were dealing with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As brothers. Yeah.
But that's different, because you said earlier that you don't have the ability to love the way that he loves. Bro, your way that you love is very different.
She's like that about every, you know, no matter, you know, any human being. Like, she wants to give to the homeless. She wants to, you know, serve in social kids. She wants to, you know what I'm saying, bake cookies for random functions.
Yeah. Well, your love is different, bro. Like, your love is truly a brotherly love. Like, I told you, I said, I've never had to question your stance, right? Like, in that group, whatever we're going to,
Yeah.
you left the group. And I didn't have to question our friendship. And I no longer called you a friend. I called you a brother. From that moment, I truly said, man, this is somebody that's going to stand with me, and stand with me. If I fall, he's going to help me get back up.
Absolutely, bro.
And when I'm standing, he's going to shout me down.
That's what we were called to do, bro. And I think that's the thing. That's the hurt that I experienced the most in dealing with that particular situation. You know, what the devil meant for evil, God turns around for good. But at the same time, I don't think the parties involved realized that the elevated level that you and I were going to was a derivative of the things that we were getting from that community. So I was only able to be the individual that I am now. I didn't find the healing that I needed in order to be the leader in this connect group that I'm currently in. It came from being with them. It came from you guys and being in that particular setting. And I honestly feel like if they could have looked at it in that way, it was like, yo, a lot of the success that we're experiencing, a lot of the elevation that we've experienced came from the loving arms that y'all lifted us up on.
Right.
You wouldn't have to feel that way. You wouldn't have to feel as if really jealousy. You wouldn't have to feel the jealousy or the envy that you may have felt in those situations, because your love lifted us up. You see what I mean?
Right. You know, and I believe that the Lord, he presents love before he presents truth. Think about what God did. He offered Jesus in the form of love before he offered us in truth, right? It was his love that captivated our hearts to say, okay, I'm going to go find out who this Jesus guy is, right? Sometimes the Lord will position us in places before we're even equipped to do it, right?
Look at that group.
God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called, right?
Yeah, amen.
Amen. I remember being a youth pastor before I loved Jesus. That's wild, right? But that's the truth. It was popular.
That's crazy, yeah.
It was popular to be a church boy, right?
Yeah.
Because you get the pretty girl, right? But I was youth pastoring before I fell in love with Jesus. So now at 41, I don't care about pastoring now. You know, I want to pastor my flock, which is my kids, right, and my family. But I want to demonstrate that I truly love the Lord.
Amen.
Because of everything he's done for me, I can't forget. And that's something I've always loved about you is like, you get teary-eyed every time we talk about what the Lord has done in your life, because I believe that you've never forgotten what he's done for you.
I know where I was at. And I think about, bro, I could not have fathomed being in the place where I am today, like thinking about marriage, thinking about having a family, you know, like
backtrack that, bro. Like a couple of months ago, we celebrated something crazy big.
Yeah.
Crazy big. Like
February 18th, I celebrated 1 year sobriety. And bro, like even now to say it, it's laughable. Like it's laughable because it's only through the grace of God. I thought this was something I would deal with for the rest of my life. For the rest of my life, I thought I would have it. I thought I would have an affinity for liquor. I thought I would, you know, sweat when I think about it. Now, bro, the sight of liquor makes my stomach turn. I never thought I'd be in that break.
I love it because off camera, we were talking about how you were over a year sober, but you're not struggling.
No.
Right? Like you're not struggling. Okay, I got to fight this today, right? Have you?
I'm not. And
you've truly been delivered. Right. There's only one person.
Thank you. I think you said it.
Yeah.
True deliverance. Like this is my example. This is something I can always show to other people. A case of true deliverance in my life where the taste is completely gone from my mouth, bro.
And I think he replaced it. You know, scripture says, taste and see that the Lord is
The
good.
Lord is good.
Right. And when you have that taste, when you've tasted how good he is, I don't want to taste anything.
And bro, I think when we realize, bro, for real, like with our flesh, it's so easy. The reason sin, you think about those things, the reason sin feels so good is because, bro, your flesh knows it's not going with you to eternity. You see what I'm saying? So we don't have any, it has no reason. The flesh has no reason, you know what I'm saying, to do anything by the will of God. It's not, it doesn't go with you to eternity, man. It stays in that grave. It disintegrates. It's so easy to do sin because flesh is only for the moment, bro. It's wild.
That is wild. You know, you talk about just kind of being sober and struggling. I remember in my past when I was just being this really insecure fake boy, I wanted everybody to think that I had it together. I would pretend that I was sober. And I wasn't addicted to drugs or alcohol. I was addicted to gambling or addicted to women. But I wouldn't let anybody know that I was not sober, but I was struggling. And so when you say that, like, I remember your face when we were able to celebrate you in the 1 year of just sobriety, like, you broke down. Because I remember you were thinking, I never thought I would be at this moment. You were saying, I'm just going to take one day at a time. And now 365 days later, bro, you're completely turning up.
Yeah.
Like Pastor Tim said, turn up dry. Remember he said that?
Exactly.
Yeah. But you never.
Shout out Pastor Tim. I appreciate you, Pastor Tim.
Yeah. But you never like said, and RJ, I'm struggling with this. I'm at a bar, come pick me up.
Never, not once.
You didn't. And so I just think that the cool thing about God is he is a God who can deliver you like that. And sometimes it takes 12 months. And so if you were to just give somebody who is struggling with just their sobriety on their journey of just being clean or whatever, what advice would you give people?
You know, one of the things I used to live by, and I heard it a lot when I was a kid, but it didn't really resonate with me until I became a man and I had to deal with these things. My late bishop used to tell me, you'll never act contrary to your most dominant belief about yourself. So if that be the case, then what do you really truly believe about you? Do you believe you're a junkie? Do you believe you can't be free? Do you believe God can't do it?
Well,
because if you can't act contrary to the most dominant belief about yourself, then maybe if you truly believe that you could be free, if you truly believe in the power of God, if you believe that deliverance and healing is on the other side of your yes, then you honestly can be free from those things, because that's truly what did it for me. Now, granted, mine took a crash out, you know, at a really, really low point. So I would hope that anybody dealing with addiction can hear my words and say, don't let it get there.
what if it gets there?
If it does,
What if they failed 4 times in the last, say, 4 months? What advice would you give them?
if they realize they fallen, then they also should realize that you can get up, because the only way you lose is if you stay down. You can't, like, anybody who falls, bro, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Daily, I deal with something. Daily, I miss the mark on something, you know. But the beautiful thing is I never stay down, bro. Like, I always realize that there's an opportunity here for me to be an even better person. I make mistakes all the time. And stumbling is just, it's really a heart issue. Most people that are addicted in that way don't have enough love for themselves. It's not everybody, you know, there are other things, but you don't love you enough to make the change.
Yeah. There's a quote from Michael Todd. He says this: the reason why people aren't good in relationships is because they don't know how to handle this. Where the Bible says, love thy neighbor as you love yourself. People don't know how to love their neighbor because they don't love
They
themselves.
don't love themselves.
Right? So when somebody loves me, I got to push back because I don't love myself. I truly don't believe that, because I don't believe that I'm worthy enough to be loved.
And of course, shout out to Tierra.
Shout out to T.
Because I didn't love me when we got together. I was addicted when we got together. I was still addicted to drugs. I was still addicted to alcohol.
Yeah.
She met my representative. I put my best foot forward because she was fine. She was fine. And she was fine, dog.
Yeah.
You know, I hate that the first year and a half of our relationship, she didn't get the real me, you know. Here we are almost 5 years into it, though, you know. And now I love me, which in turn makes me love her far more than I could ever love myself.
That's so good. Yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it.
Of course, bro.
You were loved, bro. Not only just from me, but from my kids. Like, they truly love you. Everybody that
Shout out to the Flores gang too.
they're crazy, bro. I love them to death. They're my heart. But man, they love you, and we love everything about you.
Tea time. Tea time. Tea time. Tea time. Tea time.
All right, GP, it's time for y'all's favorite segment, Tea Time. These are where you guys submit questions. We have no idea what are behind these cards. Jameson, I'm going to ask you questions. You ask me questions, and it's rapid fire.
Rapid fire.
Rapid fire. No chin. Don't be looking. Don't be. I can't look. Okay. No. So you first.
Me first. Boom. Okay. What's one red flag in yourself you had to surrender to God?
Truly trusting him in areas that he hasn't performed his goodness yet.
But I really honestly had to say my relationship towards towards women. You know what I'm saying? Because they're his children too. No matter how I might particularly feel about him, I definitely had to deal with my misogyny.
Okay. So you're going to answer both? You want me to just give you the mic now?
I thought
that's the next segment. But go ahead. Here we go.
Okay.
You don't get paid to think over here. Top, middle, bottom.
Middle. Always middle.
Most freeing moment you've had with God so far?
The most freeing moment. Shout out to Jeff Aline. When I first got to social, I didn't like to be hugged. But then something happened after baptism, and he came up to me and he showed me mad love after Tierra got baptized, actually. Mm-hmm. And bro, ever since then, bro, you see the way I hug you. You know what I'm saying? There's other people that can attest to that too. You know, your producer could probably tell you I hug people tight.
Too tight sometimes. It's all right.
I'm gonna hug you even tighter.
You ain't. My pants are too tight. Okay, you answer. Go, hurry up.
Okay, I'm going for the middle there. What did healing look like before you knew what healing actually was?
Fake smiles, fake laughs, posting everything about what I healed from. So for me, I healed loudly because I was breaking in silence. Right. And so I don't have to post. I don't have to flex because what the Lord did in my heart really can't be seen other than the way that I live it out.
So the fake smiles, it was the fake smiles.
That's what it looked like. Fake smiles, big vacations, all the things. Right. Yeah. I had to flex. Right. So do you love better now or listen better now? I like that question. Good question, GP.
That is a good one.
Do you love better or listen better now?
Bro, I was always a pretty good listener. But I'm gonna be real with you. God has given me his heart. And been building a relationship with him. Bro, I can honestly say without a shot of a doubt, I definitely love better now because I'm loving people that my flesh don't want me to love. You know, I'm here with you.
I hate you. Can I say I hate you? But I hate you right now. What's your little sound? That's so fun. That needs to be a little sound. But go ahead.
What's one habit that still tries to sneak in sometimes? Ooh, they're asking your personal business here, boy.
People pleasing. That is a habit that I like to be liked, and so I want to make sure. As much as I'm thick-skinned, I don't care what people think. I care.
Yeah, bro.
And so it creeps in every once in a while.
Bro, I feel that. I know you. I know you well enough to know that's definitely the truth, bro.
All right, here we go. What moment made you realize you needed freedom? Dang good question again.
They are. I was in my car, driving drunk.
This is
doing drugs behind the wheel. And bro, for the life of me, bro, I'm thinking about everything that I have at home, and I just couldn't go back to it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, the only thing I'm chained. I'm chained to the night. You see, I'm chained to being in the streets. I'm chained to drinking. I'm chained to getting high. And bro, on the inside, bro, for real, at that particular night, February 17th, bro, I hit rock bottom, and I realized then I can't keep doing this, bro, because it's killing me. It was killing me, bro, and I could feel it killing me. Like my body.
What did rock bottom look like?
I didn't hear God. That's first and foremost, bro. When you get drunk and you get toe up like that, bro, all the time, bro, you don't hear God at all. You don't dream. I had no direction. So like I had nothing. I had no discernment. I found fault in everything that I loved. I found fault in my family. I found fault in the church. I found fault in my girl. you know, and everything was wrong but me, you see. And that's why I knew I'm chained. I'm chained to inaccountability, if that's a word.
No, it is. That's it for Tea Time. Thanks again for all your questions. Remember to continue to send them in. We enjoy having them. All right, everybody, it's time for my favorite segment, Mic Flip. This is where I become the guest and the guest becomes the host. So, Jameson, you are now the host of Going Public. So you get to ask me whatever question you have. Nothing is off limits. It's time for RJ to go public.
I'm glad to be the host, man. Y'all needed some more color up here. Listen. Listen. Yo, man, you I'll be honest with you, you touched on something tonight that I didn't actually think you were going to touch on, bro. Okay. You dealt with some family trauma. I've always wanted to ask you this, bro. What's something that you wish somebody would have protected you from specifically?
There's a song right now that it's called Hero in the Room. And it talks about how some of our closest and loved ones didn't do their job of protecting. Mm-hmm. And when I was struggling to find who I was, post divorce and all the stuff, pre-prison, I was lost. But the ones who loved me didn't know how to handle that, so they distanced themselves. And a lot of times people do that when one of our closest people are hurting. We don't know how to get in the mix, and so we distance ourselves and say, well, I'm going to pray for them from afar. I needed somebody just to hold me. And so the heal the boy, get the man, the boy, RJ, needed the loved one to just hold him and say, hey, I love you enough to correct you, and I love you enough to tell you you're going down a track that you don't want to go down. And so to answer your question, I wish that the people who loved me the most would have loved me enough to correct me.
Protect you from me with correction. I see what
you mean. And protect them from, really to protect myself from myself. Because I was so lost, I was so insecure, I was so worried about being perfect. I was slipping. And before I went to prison, and I didn't think I was going to share this, but it's always you making me go to that other level.
That's what we do, bro.
The day I got locked up, and there was 4 to 5 cop cars at my house, and they pull up as if I'm like some guy that's gonna like run or whatever. I didn't know that my dad was driving by until after prison. He was going to the grocery store and he stopped and he saw his son in handcuffs with all these cops, and he couldn't encourage himself to go and see what's going on because he didn't want to see me through those lenses, right? And so if anything, that was a summary of who it was. Like, everybody knew RJ was slipping, but I wish somebody would have been like, hey, I love you enough to correct you. So yeah,
that's tough one, bro. I got one more for you since you
go ahead.
You talked about, say your time in prison, and during that time you spent more time than you anticipated spending away from your family.
Yeah.
Is there anything in particular that you thought about that you really didn't want your kids to forget about you while you were pinned up?
Yeah. As a teenager, you search for validation. You search truly for the dad's voice, right? And I'm absent, and I'm in that time where it's you got one call for 5 minutes, and I was scared that I had lost my position. I was scared that I lost my position of influence in them. I remember one time I'm on the phone and Jeremiah's lashing out on his mom. He's running down the street, screaming and yelling. He won't listen to her. He's never done that with me. It wasn't my voice of dictatorship or discipline. It was like the voice of a dad, whether absent or present, screams loudly, right? And I didn't know that I still had that voice because for 5 minutes, you really can't say much. It was like, hey, how are you doing? And a lot of times he was shutting down. Noah and Sailor wouldn't talk to me on the phone. Jeremiah would shut down. Hey, how's football going? How's wrestling going? How's all these things going? And I was losing my position because I felt that I wasn't relevant anymore. And so that was my biggest fear, is that I would have lost my position as their dad, as their voice that from birth, it's on my arm. From birth, I've told them, you're strong, you're smart, you're loved. When you stop hearing something, you stop remembering it. And so I didn't get to tell them that every single day. So my fear was that they would forget who they are.
Right. Yeah.
So, man, Jameson, it's been a pleasure, bro. It's been a complete honor to have you on. The funny thing is, everybody asks, like, I just went to lunch this weekend, and there was, when's Jameson coming on? Like, that's your boy. Like, when's he coming on? And so, man, thank you for saying yes to this. I know this is a place where vulnerability lives and transparency stays. And so, man, I just want to tell you that I absolutely love you. I am thankful for you. I'm thankful for God placing you in my life. You have ministered to me, and you have stood in the fire when I needed you the most. And so much love, man.
I love you, bro. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come here and share my story. And, bro, thank you for genuine brotherhood, brother. I appreciate you, man. And I love you more than words, and more than I can put into words, man.
I appreciate that. All right, GP, that's it for tonight's episode. If you would, go and follow Jameson. His handle is ChurchFit. To use on Instagram. Then for us, go like, comment, share, and most importantly, go subscribe to us. We love to see y'all, and we'll see you next Thursday. Later.
Modes on the beat.